good evening, gents, and welcome back for another live. Today we're interviewing Mr. Mike Masiero, who's based down in Hoppers Crossing, but it's actually Werribee, Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, Werribee, mate.
Yeah, yep. Cool. Now, Mike, thanks for coming in and speaking to me this evening. As I was saying to you earlier, I think your story's one of the really cool stories about the Change Thinking program and some of the changes that you've sort of made since you've been on the program. And if I look at my records here, Mike, it was the 12th of August 2022 when you first joined. And I think you were someone that saw one of my ads on Facebook and decided to jump on a call. And that's when we first spoke to each other back then. Mike, I suppose, paint a picture for us. What was life like back pre-12th of August 2022? What was going on for you?
Well, I was struggling with a lot of loneliness. So my background is I have never had a romantic partner or a girlfriend, not when I was younger. And for a long time, I couldn't understand why, man. I couldn't understand why it is that my two cousins and everybody else were able to find partners. And I was just going to speed dating events. I was joining dating apps, and I just could not understand why I couldn't find a romantic partner. And it wasn't until I was 31 where I actually got my first relationship. And pretty much where I was before the program, I'm going to be very honest, man, I was in a very dark headspace with anger and loneliness. And I used to really resent the people at school who bullied me. I suffered a lot of bullying in school, so I went to two different schools. I went to normal school from prep all the way to year 8, and then I went to mainstream school from year 9 to I went to special school from year 9 to year 12. And
Mike, that was because of the Asperger's and a decision your parents made, I think. Yeah. And that was for you, 4 of the most unpleasant years of your life, yeah?
I did not want to go to special school. The teachers actually made me go there. And what's really interesting is that I actually had a much better time at normal school than I did at special school. Special school is pretty much when all the bullying started, really.
And Mike, that we've talked a lot about this period for you, but that left a lot of deep scars for you, didn't it? Affected your confidence.
Well, I think it's very, I think when you're kind of somebody like me who has social difficulties, and you combine that with the fact that I went to quite a rough school as well. I was one of the very few kids that went to that school, not because of behavioural issues, but because of learning issues. And, most of the boys that went to my school, special school that is, they were all people that their teachers couldn't manage them at normal school, so they ended up at special school, and they were kids that had behavioural issues. So what you essentially had was a combination of a group full of antisocial boys and a socially awkward person like me, and that's pretty much not a very good combination.
It wasn't going to be a good combination. So, Mike, you obviously got out of school. You're carrying around sort of, a lot of the scars, if you like, from the teasing that you got in school. And at one point you were, you're out there causing trouble, essentially, weren't you? If you're, acting as doing a bit of trolling online. So
well, I was in a very dark headspace. I mean, I just had so much anger towards people that had it better than me. I mean, even going into supermarkets and looking at young couples kissing, that was enough to really infuriate me. And it just got to the point where, a combination of that and the fact that I had a lot of challenges over the years. Like, I didn't even get my driver's license until I was 26, and it's not until I was 30 that I moved out of home. And pretty much, looking back at where I was in 2016, I was going down a very, very dark road. I mean, I was borderline morbidly obese, severely overweight. I was extremely angry at society. And, I used to go on dating apps, and I used to troll women, and I used to troll people in Facebook groups. And, I'm pretty sure that had I have not, changed the error of my ways, I don't know where I'd be today, man. I remember I had a conversation with my mother, and, she was talking about the fact that we've now got the real Michael back. and she was in tears, just saying that we don't know if she would have had me around. Really,
That was quite recently, that comment from you, wasn't it?
yeah. So I
Yeah.
was 130 kilos at my heaviest, and now I've lost about 40 kilos since 2016, and I'm now down to 85.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fantastic of it, mate. Fantastic.
yeah,
Because I mean, and again, as far as the weight goes, I mean, you didn't have some very good, eating habits as well. On top of the additional food, you were, borderline bulimic, really, weren't you?
yeah. Well, it's very hard for us males to talk about eating disorders because it's often, a female issue. But eating disorders do not discriminate. Like I did engage in some bulimic behaviour, and I was my typical routine is after work, I'd Pizza Hut, eat 2 large pizzas, just make myself up. And I think, there's a couple of things that kind of helped me stop off that bulimic behaviour. One, is that, your course and your program, obviously. And I also did some of I think there's a section in the hypnosis section called Hypnosis with Bulimia. So that's really helped. And I saw a ton of videos on YouTube talking about the dangers of bulimia, and it just pretty much scared the crap out of me, and I haven't done it since, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, look, there's 40 or 50 hypnotic inductions in the program anyway, and I
Yeah,
know the bulimia one I actually went out and found specifically for you.
yeah,
We've
thanks.
loaded it up. We've loaded it up into the hypnosis there, and the bottom line is, mate, you've fully you don't do that anymore at all.
No, I'm no longer eating and throwing up. Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Mike, obviously you start the course, and I'll be honest with you, you sort of got off to a slower start than most, but I think you mentioned your learning difficulties. But you're someone that probably, and like some other people, you probably got more out of the conversations that we were having than so much the content, because I'd quiz you on the content, and
Yep,
I'd
I
find
remember
out
that.
that you haven't really been working too hard in that area. But to your credit, you were making the calls to me as I sort of asked. We were talking
Yeah.
regularly, and they had a pretty big impact on you as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think what's kind of one of the biggest things that I actually got is when I actually got into my first relationship, the issue that I used to have with girls is I'd be very needy. So I think looking back at a lot of the female friendships that I had in the past, my attachment to hers would grow higher, and then her attachment to mine would grow lower. And I kind of realized, through some of your content and even talking to you, is that, and I never thought I'd say this, but you can't let like a woman be the reason for you feeling good about yourself. Like, I was that type of person, and it's very weird because I was a massive people pleaser, but I was a people pleaser with girls. So back when I was a real people pleasing sucker, I did not give two hoots what guys thought of me, right? But then again, it mattered a lot what women thought of me. And I realize now that, feeling good about yourself has to come from within. And I'm not just saying that because I entered my first relationship, but I'm saying that because it's the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then to your credit as well, you've reached out and spoken to a number of other participants in the program, and that's been beneficial for you as well as them.
Yeah, well, loneliness is a massive issue in this country. It's an issue that's happening globally, worldwide. And, really talking to people about, this issue of being lonely, really kind of helps. And, like two people in the program might have completely different issues that they're working on, right? But our mentality is the same. Like we all have the same goals. A lot of us, hate who we are, but we don't know how to change. So we try to be the best of ourselves. And you know what I mean? It's like, I believe that a lot of the negative crap that we have in our heart, like they're not actually our thoughts, man. They're introduced thoughts, Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, when you hang around good people who are, who are actually treating you with respect and who actually accept you for who you are, it makes a massive difference. Because I strongly believe that we're a product of our own environments.
Yeah, look, and as I said, that it was great the other day, mate, when I was speaking to you on the phone. Because in the first year, I suppose we spoke about the teasing and the bullying that you got in school. And the bottom
Yeah,
line is, mate, you've continued with the program. I've had to really get on your case at times as well,
yeah,
which but to
yeah,
your credit, you've kept going with the learning. You've pushed on. You've found new insights. You've had new epiphanies along the way. And I
yeah.
remember the other day when I sort of said to you, "You're not even thinking about those bullies anymore, are you?" And
Well, the question you really got to ask yourself is, are they thinking about you, mate? And like, if you're going to hold grudges against people, you might as well eat poison and hope for that other person to die, because it
yeah,
does
no,
nothing to serve you.
well, man, it's 180 degrees, mate. You're thinking these days, which is fantastic. As I said, Mike, it's been a
Yeah.
pleasure working with you. So talk about the actual experience. As I said, I had to give you a push along at times with the content, but do you think any of it was difficult? You're still on mute.
Yeah,
Okay, now you're
yeah.
off
You
mute.
still,
So
yep.
now start. I'll edit all that out, but just
Yeah,
start
all
the
good, mate. Yeah, I'm that type of person that learns through repetition. So I've kind of had to do like different parts of the content like a few different times before it really sunk in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and look, it's something I to remind you, I did encourage you at the start.
yeah,
Just getting through but I mean, there is a lot of content, isn't there?
yeah. No, but like it's all stuff that's going to help you. And one of the really biggest part of the content that I've actually got is the third person point of view. So let's say I'm in a situation where, looking back at where I was, I'd say back in 2016, where I'd be at the supermarket, I'd be looking at a young couple kissing, and that would bother me. Well, instead of like, if I had a time machine and I could go back, I would kind of look at that as, well, instead of being jealous of them, being inspired by them, look at what that person's doing with his partner, look at how he was able to attract a woman, and think about how you can apply that to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's modelling in the first degree, Mike, isn't it? So, which is fantastic. So, mate, talk to me about so how is life different today? How do you feel about
Well,
yourself,
I'm not
Mike? And yeah, man,
feel
just the way you've presented yourself today is clearly evident. We're not talking about the same guy that started.
Yeah, no, look, I feel much more confident in myself. I feel much more at peace with who I am. And, I'm pretty much half the size that I used to be. In fact, I've actually had to throw out all my old clothes and buy new clothes. I'm now 3 jean sizes down, which is fantastic. Uh, I'm socializing a lot more. I'm talking. I'm better at talking to girls, and I'm a lot more optimistic about the future.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Well, Mike, as I said, I think you're, I can and continue to sort of watch this space because, the evolution of Mike Masiero is still in play. It's still happening as we speak, and it's a pleasure to watch, Mike, and it's a pleasure to be a part of that journey with you.
Yeah, no, thanks, man.
Finally, what advice would you give to anyone out there who's not happy with how things are at the moment? Who might have suffered some loss in self-worth or self-confidence or self-respect? What would be your
Well, I
advice?
would say that, there's always a solution to every problem out there. Like, if you're looking back at where I was, when I was in my darkest of times, 130 kilos, without a driver's license, still living with my parents, without a job, trolling women on dating apps, when you have that overwhelming sense of guilt that just makes you feel like a piece of shit that deserves nothing in the world. The reality is nobody's a piece of shit, right? Everybody adds value in some form or another. And
Spot on.
you kind of got to look at it as there's got to be a solution out there. But the reality is, nobody can change you except for you. And you've actually got to be 100% committed to change. And it's never too late to change the path that you're going down in life, man. Like, I honestly never thought that I would be the man that I am today. But, you know, I think that when you really go searching long enough and you really keep that, you know, because part of me still knew that there had to be a solution, and part of me knew that I was better than that. And, you know, when you actually find that solution, take full advantage of it. And honestly, like, when you choose to be the best version of yourself, you're going to feel like a completely different, totally different person.
Good stuff, Mike. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, mate. And I want to thank you again for
Thanks, Charlie.
jumping on tonight and having a chat and sharing some of your journey with people out there. Hopefully that might give some others the encouragement to just jump on board and give it a go. We'll see what happens. But thanks again, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure.
Good on you, mate.
Take care. Speak soon.
Thanks, mate. See ya.
So there you go, gents. Another great story of change, this time from Mike. So if you're out there and going through a rough patch or going through a tough time, it all starts with a single phone call. So copy that Calendly link into a browser and book a call with me and see if we can get started on turning this ship around. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.